Hello there, it's Cory Bretz from Heirloom Films and Storybooks. I want to show you a little piece of film here from a project, family history film that we've been working on for a former World War II Canadian serviceman. His name is Ed, and this is actually part two of his film. And if you can see, he was one of the soldiers in World War II from Canada who ended up in France and Holland and Belgium and finally into Germany, booting the Nazis out of Eastern or Western Europe, rather. And so this is a film where it's about a 40-minute, no, it's about an hour and I forgot already. It's an hour and 11 minutes long, and there's this one section of about 10 minutes right through here. You can see this. I'm just scrubbing across the timeline. This is a whole bunch of interview footage with him. You can see he's on camera, sitting in his favorite comfy chair, and then we've found a whole bunch of imagery that is sort of from the times and related to his experience, his platoon as they moved through, with the Allied forces booting the Nazis out. And so I just finished creating a sort of a short clip from out of this hour and 11-minute film. And this is sort of the very beginning of it. You can see what we've got as a lower third title there at the bottom with his name and his date of birth. And then we've got a bunch of images. These are just photos that are sitting on top of the interview footage. And I've actually added a little bit of animation into them to make them move so that they are actually interesting. And so I think what we'll do is my next step, of course, is to render this and upload it to YouTube so it can be shared with the world. I'm going to show it to you and let you see what Ed's life is about. The reason I'm showing you this is because this could be your family. This could be one of your ancestors. So what I want to do is I want to fade this music out. I don't want it to end abruptly. How's that?
We got there one night, and fortunately for us,
I'm just taking the ramping down this music so it's kind of a smooth fade there. Yeah, that's good. And then what I want to do is
around this house, it was a kind of a fun.
I want to add in some other sort of background music. This piece here, I really like this one. Let's just pop it right in here. Music is so very powerful in video productions. It adds so much. Oh, there we go. It adds so much feel and emotion. Music does, and so we can use it in various little spots to build energy. So I'm just going to put some right in this little section right here, and I'm just going to have it kind of fade in very gradually right there. Whoops, made a boo-boo. There's a boo-boo. Let's delete that button. Delete. Yeah, and what I want it to do is sort of ramp up slowly. Maybe more like over here somewhere. There you go. Oh, I have too many dots now. Let's take out that one. Yeah. The program I'm using to make this this video is called Edius by Grass Valley. It's a video editing program, very stable, very functional.
The Germans were.
Yeah, you hear the drums.
Were really a tough enemy, really, really tough. They had probably started training.
I think what I'll do is lean it right into there.
And when we were in a campsite that was supposed to be back from the front quite a ways. And
okay, so now what we've done is we've ramped up.
10 years old or something. With me, I'll never forget.
Ramp that music up. Yeah, so I was saying this software is called Edius Pro from Grass Valley. It's an editing program that has the same kind of tracks as you'd see in most video editing programs. There's video tracks, in this case with the audio from the interview embedded right in it, or they could be separate tracks where you've got audio down below and just video clips above. Premiere works like that a lot. I could configure this to work that way too. I don't. I like it all in one. And also we've got down here below, we've got music tracks, and there's even some narration that appears periodically through here. And then these are all just photo clips, just sort of run along here with some animation. And then we've got titles sitting on top of all that. That's the basics of a video editing program. Okay, I think we're ready. I think I got it all fixed up here. So let's play this thing and just start it up like so. Okay. Push the full screen button. Back it up. There we go. Okay, go.
Our offensive started in February. Into Germany from Nijmegen, Holland. And ended up right up at the North Sea. And we got up there and the Germans were dug in on the dike. The ocean was on one side and they dug down and they had their guns facing inland. You know. And we got there one night, and fortunately for us, daybreak the next morning, our sergeant got us up to look, and the British commandos were landing on Walsh Island. It's only about half a mile away, going in with the what do they call them, LCTs or something. Yeah, that's a landing craft for the troops. The Germans were really a tough enemy, really, really tough. They had great equipment too. And a lot of their units were these, what do they call them, Hitler Youth types, fanatical types. And they probably started training when they were, you know, like 10 years old or something. With me, I'll never forget, haunts me still, was we were in a campsite that was supposed to be back from the front quite a ways. And so we're all kind of hanging around this house. It was a kind of a farmhouse. We were all hanging around there, and all of a sudden we looked up and there was 5 Hitler Youth kids standing in the yard with the strangest behavior I'd never even heard of before. They're all standing there with their rifles pointing up in the air, standing back to back. They hadn't fired a shot or anything. And so I hollered at them to put their rifle down, which was a mistake. We should have hollered at my guys to fire. And so all of a sudden, I told the guys, I'm going to throw a grenade. And when I throw that grenade, I'll holler, and then you can fire. So, see, they would have been 40, 50 feet away from all of us. And I thought, well, I'll just get that, because I could see that they were intent on finishing us off. It was a strange way to do it, but this is what they actually did. So in the skirmish that followed, I lost 2 guys were killed in my section alone. And it was horrible. But it haunts me still. One of them was my best friend. His name was Hoolie. He was from Saskatoon. That was his last name. I think it was Tim. Oh, we all called him Hoolie.
It sounds like you have to make decisions very quickly, and you were the corporal, right? You were in charge.
Yeah.
You said you should have had them shoot right away.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you made a mistake?
It was crazy to even offer them a chance to do that. It was crazy. It was poor judgment on my part. I always knew that too. However, water long under the bridge? No.
Some soldiers have told me that they fired their rifle many times. They threw lots of grenades, but they don't know if they ever hit anybody. What's your sense of it?
Surprising how poor your aim is when you're really scared and nervous. So you see the enemy falling, but you don't know who's in its good. You don't know whether it's yours or somebody else. So it's good that you don't have that added terror added on to everything else. Yeah, but I think we all had instances where we knew damn well it was us. But that part never worried me as much as the other, as my own guys, you know.
In February 1945, Ed was wounded by shrapnel. He was in hospital for a month.
We were just come out of the Hockwell Forest, but it was still part of the same battle. Well, we're going towards the Rhine River, you know, and it was, well, there was still bush there, but we're, like the forest is fairly dense, and it was an ideal place for the German 88s because they were a deadly weapon. But it had that armor-piercing shell in it, and also had a airburst shell they could shoot out of that thing. I guess that's what nailed me, or it might even been a mortar shell. I don't know, because the mortar shells they were full of nails and broken pieces of metal and stuff like that. Well, I was in the bottom of a slit trench because we were getting shelled, you know. So I was down in the bottom of there, but we had ammunition, you know, and they had 2 pouches on the front. You've probably seen the belt. That's what saved my life, was that thick webbing, they called it. It was about a 1/4 inch thick. And that's where that shrapnel hit me, right on the webbing. And it must have hit flat, and that's unusual because shrapnel usually lies flat when it's going, and it must have lied. You know, when it's going, the sharp edge is usually the one that hits you. But anyway, what hit me was the flat side of it. It must have, because I thought my back was broken, and I guess it wasn't. But boy, oh boy, talk about a wallop. But if it hadn't been lying flat, it would have been curtains. But it was the wrong place to be, I guess. But it wasn't fatal, but it sure felt like it. It came down.
You were in the Army of Occupation.
No, nothing was actually laid down. But if there was an uprising, or if there was any, you know, thing like that going on, we were supposed to squelch it, you know, get rid of it. But we stayed pretty much in camp because the orders were there was no fraternizing. And of course that was very difficult because I think there were so many German men killed during the war. There was a whole slew of women and hardly any guys. And so, but we were not allowed to fraternize, so that was one of the things that didn't improve the mood too much. But we never had any encounters, violent encounters at all on our front, nothing. Confiscated a little Belgian Browning pistol. It was a tiny little thing, pretty near sit in your hand, you know. Gee, that'd be kind of neat to have. And then I got a Luger. Off a German officer, I got his Luger. So I was going to take him home. I thought, gee, this would be great souvenirs. And we got on the boat, and we're halfway between The Hague in Holland and Southampton, and we had a storm, a big storm, and the boats were just rocking. And anyway, we were all feeling quite smug about our loot that we were taking, and our officer came around and he said, this afternoon at 1600 hours, your kit bags, your gear is all going to be searched, and anyone with firearms, they're going to get tossed overboard. And you might like to go back Army of Occupation for another few months. So that's where in the English Channel, that's where my Luger and Belgian Browning are.
I've heard some people say that when they were, basically at war with Germans, that later on in life, some of them had issues with German people. How did you?
I never felt bad towards them. The people that you meet afterwards, most of them weren't even in the war. And although they allowed Hitler to do all these things, it took a lot of courage for anybody to stop it. You were bound to get sent to a concentration camp or something if you opposed him. And he knew about it, well, he'd just get rid of you. So these two stars are the only ones that really mean a lot, and that was the Battle of Britain, the 1939-45 star. You get there, and those are proof that you were, in action against the Germans. The other ones are just like I volunteered to join the army. But these two stars, they mean a lot to me. I don't pay much attention to the other ones. These separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, so there you have it. If you have, in your own family's collection, you've got a collection of medals or old war memorabilia, uniforms, helmets, photos, records, things like that, you probably have a serviceman or woman in your family who went through horrific times and faced their fear and either survived or didn't survive. Either way, the amount of story that's relevant to the next generation of your family is huge. And so reach out to me. I'm Cory Bretz, your local personal historian. If you want to inspire your next generation of your family. Thanks for watching. Inspire the next generation. Your own family history, genealogy, life stories, and old photos and films can honor your ancestors and nourish your grandchildren and great-grandchildren forever. Give them the most amazing gift ever, your own custom keepsake family history film or storybook. Schedule your free consultation and inspire the next generation.